It's Claudia, and welcome to Take a Moment to pause with purpose. And the does represent the new topic that I bring to you each and every week that I hope will give you a moment to pause, think about what I'm saying, and maybe be provoked to tweak perspective just a little bit, because even incorporating the slightest change can result in some major changes and impact going forward. Each week I come to you completely dependent on the Lord. I have jumped off the cliff and into him's arms. That happened about a year ago. Can't believe it. This year has flown. I don't know where it's gone. But the Lord just wanted me to trust him. I have explained in the past that I would always prepare, to the nth degree for everything. And then he had me say, don't do that. But my little personality was, yeah, I got to have something. And then he said, just trust me. And so he said, show up. So I show up each week. I don't know what I'm going to say. He generally, not generally, always shows up and shows off, and I trust him to do that. I trust him to fill my mouth with a message that he wants to impart to you, and I pray to bless you. I have been in a time of discovery, a time of transition and transformation on many levels, physically, emotionally, spiritually, soulishly. I've allowed myself to be changed by the Lord, to be transformed by the Lord. And it can be kind of painful, it just can be. But when we do that, when we allow ourselves to go into refiner's fire and let the Lord put us on the potter's wheel as well and get out of us the junk that holds us back, there's such a freedom there, because in the Lord Jesus, when we accept him, it's whom the Son sets free is free indeed. So I just give you that. I seem to be going a little longer on the intro this week, but it's okay. You can find me on my YouTube channel, Take a Moment to pause with purpose, and on podcast stations such as Apple and Spotify, again, under Take a Moment to pause with purpose. I love it if you could like, subscribe, and share, but also comment. That means a lot to me, and I seem to be getting a lot more comments lately. So I, I'm taking that the subjects are really resonating with you, because there always seems to be some kind of transition going on in this podcast. Like I said, the Lord gives me inspiration. I show up, and there it is. So I thank you for being here. If you've been with me for a while, I thank you. If you're new, welcome. And I hope this podcast episode this week also blesses you and resonates. So, this week is take a moment to tap into your creativity. I don't know about you, but I've always thought of creative people as painters and writers and authors and actors and musicians. That's how I thought about creativity. But the Lord has really been tapping on me and saying, no, it's like shift the mindset. Creativity spans everything. I mean, think about this. The Lord created us in his image, and he created the universe. He created us. So if we've got the creator of the universe and the Lord who created us, think about the creativity that's coursing through our veins, okay? And it comes down to, what has the Lord birthed in you? What desires do you have in terms of what do you want to do in life? Uh, each of us is different. God created each of us differently. I'll just use the stereotypical creativity. No two painters are the same. No two authors are the same. It's like, and no two musicians are the same. There was one time years ago, I wasn't sure what I was going to do. I was laid off from work, and somebody introduced me to a career counselor, and I was in a bad place. I just was, and I said, "Who am I? I don't know. I feel like I want to write. I don't know what I want to do." And I said, "But there are so many books out there. There are so many articles out there. There's so many everything." And then she just like hit me right between the eyes and said, "There's always a new song. There's always a new book, because you're different than everybody else. And you have a voice. You have something that you can say in a way that nobody else can say it." Wow. And because I was in a bad place back then, it didn't resonate with me as much as it's resonating with me now in these last few years, especially now as I'm talking about it, because I really haven't thought about it in a very long time. But when people speak to you, and then in the right moment in time, that's when it really comes up and it has its moment to resonate and take it and run with it. Now, I was in business, and there's creativity on so many levels. And I was in marketing, and I worked with a lot of creative people. I worked with packaging people who created the packages. I worked with advertising. I worked with promotional people. But I was the marketer, and I needed to build my business. I needed to bring it to a new level, and always looking for new product ideas. So I worked with new product development. And what I find interesting, it takes a lot of creativity to problem solve, to bring different people from different disciplines together to agree and to come up with new ideas and plans, and to navigate everyone through it, to brainstorm, to get the juices pumping. And that's what I was always good at, to get the juices pumping. And what I love to do, I really do, is to brainstorm. That for me is when my juices get pumping. My creativity starts to flow. So I work better, and I had to discover this over the years, that I work better when I've got a lot of energy around me and I've got people bouncing ideas, and then I'll take that idea and build on it, and let everybody else kind of just come together and flow together. And so with that said, I am challenged when I'm by myself, when I'm writing. Sometimes I can get stuck very easily, but my creative source is the Lord. And I will get quiet, and I'll go for a drive, I'll go for a walk, I'll just do a step away. But I'll start to pray, whatever it is, I'll put music on. I don't know, whatever it is to get my juices pumping. But and so for writing a book or writing a screenplay or things like that, I struggle a bit, and I really have to close in and get into a different zone. What I find interesting, though, is when I write my poetry, the Holy Spirit will download a title to me, and I will sit at the computer, and boom, in 20 minutes, I have a poem written. And it's not by me, it's by God. So he's my creative source for the creativity on the poetry. And I always find that fascinating because I just let it flow. And I think that's part of the creative process. We need to just back off from the noise, back away from the stuff that's around us. Now, I'm amazed that I'm actually going to go in this direction. We live in a world loaded with technology. Think about where we were even 10 years ago, but I'm thinking like 30 years ago. I'm sitting at a computer, a small computer, and it was just, we had the rooms were filled with these mega machines for the computers and the information to be put in. And I learned on punch cards. I think I mentioned this in an episode a little bit ago. But think of the creativity to come up with the technological ways, the ideas to touch the world, to change the way we do things. Now, to be honest with you, I've been so frustrated with technology lately. I can scream at it. I'm like, I walk away for a different reason, because I just want to pull all the plugs out. But I managed to get through. I talked to people like, um, just as an aside, one of the things I was dealing with in the last 2 weeks, my phone has been going wonky. And I said, I didn't know what was wrong with it. The sound wouldn't work. It would like flutter. And I went to the store, and they said, well, you have a little older phone, so sometimes it can. But if you don't download the update, then you're not up to speed. But he said the problem is on an older phone, the update can make the phone go wonky too. So we said, why would I do that? Well, I noticed it was getting worse and worse. So I called the carrier that my phone service is through, and I was on the phone with them for a good 2 hours. I was so frustrated. And this was after going through other technological challenges that were driving me through the distraction. Well, thinking back, talking to this person, they have those, you can tell they're reading off of a script and they're checking off the boxes as, did we check on this? Did we check on that? Okay, fine. Well, let's think about this. Well, she asked me, she said, you changed your carrier back in April. Did you take the SIM card out of your phone? And I said, the what? The SIM card? I know about SIM cards, but I didn't even think about it. But when I transferred over to them, they did an electronic SIM card. I'm like, I didn't do anything. I said, nobody told me to do that. So she said, okay, open the little drawer on your phone and use a safety paper clip or a pin to open the drawer. Well, I couldn't even find this little drawer on my phone. Well, finally I found it. A tiny hole that I had to put this paper clip or pin in. Well, I couldn't do it. It was ridiculous. It was so stuck in there. So she said, go to an electronics store and they should be able to help you. So I make my way over to the electronics store, and they have the little keys that can fit in the hole, and they can easily get the drawer open. Took them all of 2 seconds to get the drawer open. Well, voila, don't you know? My phone has been working just fine now. I have sound. When I do my videos, I'm not losing sound anymore, and I do a lot of videos. So it took the creativity of the individual I was talking to and knowing her job and going through that script, quote unquote, to tell me and give me direction as to what to do. So that's creative. I think about teachers. I would used to do teach Sunday school, and I had first I had nursery school, and then I had the ones from the ages like 4 to 8. And I was never trained as a teacher, but I have a heart for children. And I used to put so much effort into the lessons for Sunday school. I got a big kick out of it. And I was amazed at the things that I came up with. But I prayed about it first because it was all about the Lord anyway. And I said, I need you to help me. And the kids loved the ideas and the way I presented the stories, the way I presented the lessons. So that's a creativity. Think about the medical profession, the creativity and the leaps and bounds that have come into the medical arena in terms of surgeries. I have a friend whose husband is going for a heart procedure in a few weeks. And they don't even have to make it an invasive procedure anymore. It's just through catheters and snaking their way up. And he'll be home the same day. What used to be cut the chest open, do the procedures, be in the hospital for maybe a week. So there's a lot of creative. Somebody had to come up with that idea. So what I'm thinking about is how many times do we go through life and we have problems? We use things as like, I wish somebody would come up with something to fix this. Well, maybe it's you. We use the same thing over and over again, getting frustrated about something's not working quite right. And I think of all of the different inventions that have come out because somebody got frustrated because things weren't meeting their needs. And that's been my hot button when I was even in marketing. Meet the needs of the people. What are they looking for that is not being delivered at this point in time? So, yes, we have that ability to come up with and to see a problem and solve it. I think of now, math and science are not my thing. Okay, it's just not. But I think about mathematics and the problem solving with math. Now, my dad always said that math is a universal language, and it is. And I would marvel at my dad because he was an architect and a creativity there, and how he would use math to solve many problems. Even divorced from his architectural work, he just another acute thing is coming up. When my niece was about 4 years old, they had a little carnival in their little town in Connecticut. And as they were walking through the town, they had a raffle. And the prize was this wooden dinosaur, and the kids loved it. It was so cute. But they had to, the people had to guess how many little marbles were in this jar. Well, I came home from where I was and my dad was sitting on the sofa, proud as a peacock, and my niece came rushing out to the door to greet me. Says, "Look, we won, we won." So, what did my dad do? He used mathematics to decipher the size of the marbles, the estimated the circumference and the measurements of the container that the marbles were in, and he used mathematical problem solving to figure out how many marbles were in that jar. And my niece became the proud owner of that dinosaur. There's creativity in that. Okay. I look at there are things I can fix, there are things I cannot fix. But I think about mechanics, plumbers, people in the trades, the way they come up with the ways to fix things. And I stand there like, wow, that was fantastic. 'Cause I don't know what to do, but they're trained. They have been doing something for years, or even people in internships or novices. There's creativity within them. So, with all of that, what is burning in you? There's an idea that's in you. There's a burning desire to see something come to life. Do you have writing in you that you need to tap into that creative side, that writing side? I didn't know I could write. But people prophesied over me for years. You're a writer. You've got books in you. Okay. And I started out, I mean, as I said, I was in corporate. I did a lot of proposals. I did a lot of things like that. But I wrote a one-woman show. I went to writing classes and I got feedback, but I wrote a one-woman show and it got rave reviews. And then from that came a blog, and from that came my book, My Wall is Red, a memoir of discovery. And I'm not going to reach for it because that's on the other side of my computer because I didn't know I was going to mention it. So, did I know? No. But God knew. God knows what he put in me, and the prophecies that were given to me were coming to life. And I thank God for that. So don't discount yourself. Don't be comparing yourself to other people and think, oh, they've got creative genius. They're this, they're that. No, you do too. But it's different from your neighbor. It's different from a sibling. I mean, I would look at children. A child would be playing with Legos and blocks and building things, where another child was off painting and using colors. They're different. They're siblings, but they're totally different. I just, to the level of a loud voice right now, I tell you, do not compare yourself to anybody else. You are not like anybody else. You are uniquely you. That's how God created you, not to be like anybody else. So the creativity you bring to this world is unlike anybody else. So if I can encourage you in anything, think about what your passions are. Think about things you might have squashed for years that you said, oh, that's ridiculous, that's silly. Ask the Lord to birth in you, to bring to life in you those things that you have suppressed all these years. That's what happened to me. I suppressed my acting desire. It's what I wanted since I was a child. But here I am doing it all these years later. And I love it. I love it. So what do? I bring characters to life. That's what actors do. We understand the character. We bring them to life for you to enjoy and to touch your heart. I mean, that's one of the things why I do this. I want to be able to touch people, whether through with laughter or tears. I mean, I just love comedy. I love drama. I love it all. So think about it. But I was also a dancer in my youth. I didn't know I was going to do this, but when I finished my MBA, I finally had time on my hands, or at least I thought I did, because I was working full time and going to school at night 3 nights a week, and plus papers and everything else, and then the long hours I did at work. And I took up dance lessons. I went to a dance studio to learn ballroom and Latin dancing, and I said, "Oh, let me check it out." Well, I didn't know I was going to go and be a competitive dancer on a pro-am basis. I was the am. But I couldn't believe the creativity that came out of me and the creativity of my teacher to come up with the dance routines. I mean, I was addicted to Dancing with the Stars. and the creativity and coming up with those routines. I love it. And especially when there's a partnership, when people sync together, as I said, the brainstorming and one flows with the other. Think of marriages and partners and people who join together and they blend and their teams and the ideas that they can come up with. So don't put yourself down. You have creativity. Whatever you do in life, whatever your passion is, you have the creativity from God Himself burning in you. So I encourage you, I implore you to dig deep, to get quiet, to step back, to pray, to go before the Lord and ask Him to unveil to you the creativity He's birthed in you for whatever it might be. Okay? So right now I'm thinking about parents. Think about how creative you have to be as a parent to with your children to tap into their interest, to understand what they're leaning toward, to be creativity to keep them entertained, to get them going, to be creative to how to discipline them and how to quiet them down. All of this takes creativity. We don't think of it like that, but it is. So you have the power of the creator inside of you. So, with all of that said, I encourage you to take a moment to tap into your creativity. Yes.